The show itself is generated from personal experiences of mine that started in 2003 when I became the primary caregiver for both my parents. As I acted as a witness or an observer to this process of aging, I just, at the time, just started collecting ideas, image memories, things like that. And in 2014, my father actually passed away. I found myself having to be very strong for my mother because she was now in a very dire strait. And so immediately I switched gears to making sure she's okay. And, you know, my wife, Britt, had mentioned to me, you know, I don't think I've seen you cry or express much about this. And I really didn't process it. It was more, you know, an observation she was just making about my own process, and I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't know what to say about it. I was just like, I'm just going through whatever it is and however way it is. And so this happened, and I shut everything down. I literally did not walk into my studio for 4 or 5 months. I couldn't walk in there. When Kim Jong-il died, it was interesting to me because the entire country of North Korea goes into this process of mourning, right? And initially, as I'm watching all this on the TV or in print, I'm like, oh, that's just a bunch of bullshit. You know, they are being forced to do this. They are being forced to empathize and sympathize with this because they're in this totalitarian system. And then I went, wait a minute. For that particular population, that's all they know, right? He was their supreme leader, and that's it. So if your supreme leader, and that's all you know, has passed away, you would sincerely, you know, feel bad about it. That kind of switched my gears into then expanding into thinking about how we grieve, what types of grieving processes there are, and at the same time considering, you know, I'm going through these very personal things, but how can I translate that to an audience who doesn't experience my specific bits of information? Mentally, I was able to just subtract out any details of background, any details of facial expressions, what have you, and just these gasping mouths in this sea of people. And I remember going, oh my God, that's fucking beautiful. And that moment is when the idea for the drawings came into play. Within India, and also actually in photographic history, there's a very rich tradition of families being photographed with their dead loved ones. And so within our family archives, we have, you know, tons and tons of pictures of relatives that have passed away with the entire families around it. So the photographs themselves are stemming from that. They literally are my ancestors. And what's interesting is, like in the funeral photo of my great-grandfather, my grandfather appears in there, who then later is the dead body in another photo, you know? So it's strange even to look at those, because I remember, you know, holding my grandfather's hands and walking down the streets of India and him telling me stories, you know? So there's this weird relationship of memory, of past, of very real, you know, emotions that I haven't even thought of in so many years until I see these images again. I'm not really consistent. I can't say I'm a purist. I'm a photographer. I'm a video artist. I'm a sound artist. I'm an installation. I'm not, you know. But in terms of ideas, no matter what the idea is, because, you know, now in my bodies of work, you know, I've done critiques on the pharmaceutical industry. I've done issues related to cultural identity, now grief. You know, the subjects are all dependent on what I'm feeling passionate about. And I think for myself at this point in my life, I can trust my own instincts of if I feel passionate about something, there's something within culture that is there underneath it all that I'm tapping into. I trust my own instincts enough that if something percolates to the top of my head of, oh, there's something for art to be made here, that I trust that actually I'm being empathic to the culture in which I'm living, that I'm recognizing certain things.